Continuing with Story 1, The Tragic Rooster. Welcome home, Beresavi! Someone had made a banner, for that was Rudy's given name, Beresavi. And it was taking time to get used to it again. No one called him that where he had been. There they just called him Rudy.
Beresavi,
someone said. He did not respond.
Beresavi, your father should be here by dinner time. He's down the way. Somebody went to get him.
He finally nodded, but didn't say anything to, what was her name again? She was one of his stepmom's many close friends, and on her distracting apron chest panel was a sailing boat design, maybe a fishing boat, if food was the theme, as it certainly would be this evening. He had already got that message about Papa, plus the information that brothers and sisters were expected to show with their young families. None of his childhood friends were around, which was fine because he didn't feel much like talking, actually. He felt like moving. He'd been out front playing with the dogs and some local kids, and now indoors he was uncomfortable. As busy as they all were preparing food, people were talking at least as much now, it seemed, as when they had nothing to do. That was his town. People did like to talk. Rudy was restless. "Let me help out," said Rudy, Beresavi. Then he announced rather loudly, "I'm going to lend a hand, Nan." Nan was great. She had been Beresavi's caretaker after Mama died. Then she had wed his father, which was practical, making her his stepmother. There was a lot going on here on this occasion, and Nan was in demand. This big, loud room, the homestead's food hall, was a place for cooking, dining, meeting, and more. Designed large, today was the day to fill it with guests, but not to overfill it. Nan didn't need pandemonium or anything. People must have bragged about their spoken invitations, because now everybody wanted in to see the Rudigal boy newly returned. Neighbors from down the way were showing up early, uninvited, offering to assist in hopes of getting in.
"Sorry," said Rudy's Nan. "There's not enough seats. There won't be one for Beresavi."
Knowing this town, some ambitious mothers among them were hoping to introduce and marry off their daughters, so everyone's intentions were perfectly good. "What? No chair for me, Nan?" said Beresavi Rudigal. "Let me help, so I can guard my space at the table." Nan finally turned to her stepson, saying,
"Beresavi, it's all taken care of. Why don't you go wash up? There's some of your clothes in the back room there."
She was right. His travel clothes had to go. They smelled bad. So did he. He sniffed his arm, saying, "I can take a hint, Nan." And he left the noisy food hall. Out back, a tub of clean water was ready. The big, healthy willow tree gave its shade, same as it used to do. Beside it was a toilet shack, and on its other side was a hut where normally the dogs lounged. Beresavi pitched every stitch of his travel clothes on the ground before the dog hut, and cleaned himself up. The old fence of vertical planks that ringed the yard gave privacy. Unless some snoop tried to peek in through the cracks, that would be funny, he imagined. What if one of the local unwed girls tried to sneak into the dinner hall by the back door? What would that be like? She would see him washing up. He'd catch her. She'd be embarrassed. They'd fall in love. Later, they'd be formally introduced by the parents, and they'd pretend to never have seen each other before. They'd start a family. In the back room, Rudy did find some old clothes quickly enough. However, "These aren't mine," he said. "They shrank." He wrestled his body into them anyway, a snake returning to its molting. He had to wear something, right? And he fought into some tight, old brown leather breeches and returned directly to the food hall. "I'm back!"
"Beresavi, your shirt looks funny,"
said one of Nan's pals, carrying a heavy pot of potatoes.
"Tuck in the tails of it or something."
"No time for that," he said. Enchanted by the aroma of a savory roast, he inhaled deeply. "That's quite the bovine in that oven," someone remarked, watching with judgmental eyes, or so it seemed. "Fed on the grass of holy ground, don't you know?" The man who said it had, in fact, supplied the meat for the occasion. A long-time family friend, his attendance was guaranteed by the gift of beef. He sat with fingers over big belly, feet propped, like an ox that had done quite enough work already. He was the beef man. People were sitting or standing, some already drinking refreshments. A sister was there, her attention entirely tyrannized by a needy toddler. It was hectic. Tables were dragged and lined up near the main one. Chairs were dragged, grated over the floor like blocks of hard cheese. The dogs got indoors, caused a mess in their excitement, and had to be herded back out.
"No animals,"
said someone taking charge on Nan's behalf.
"This isn't a stable."
One old man with a cane confided,
"You're lucky you didn't lose a leg, Beresivy. Men lose legs in a war. I've seen it."
Rudy nodded but didn't engage. Others were talking, not to him, but about him. "No, I don't think he's made plans for it," someone said. "Myself, I got hitched at his age, but for each and all, when it's time, it's time." A response was, "You got that right. For each and all, when it's time, it's time."
"Did you stop off at Center Place?"
the old man with the cane asked him, and Rudy answered absently, "Oh, right, I forgot. I'll go tomorrow." Center Place, a kind of broken arch upon cracked pillars, was the meeting spot in the middle of town. It was good luck to stop off there and touch the old ruins before leaving town. You should likewise stop off at Center Place as soon as you returned to town after a journey. It was tradition. "Yes, I'll definitely go there tomorrow." Beresivy felt oddly like a farm animal they were all trying to get a rope around. He had to remind himself that, no, they just wanted to welcome him home. They were being friendly, and he should relax and try to get reacquainted. The beef wife, married of course to the beef man, embraced Beresivy's arm and shoulder warmly and told him,
"There's going to be a banquet at month's end, Master Rudigal. Your Nan just decided. It'll be outdoors. Everyone who wants to come can come. No one sent away."
She moved on, tending a pair of window shutters, shoving them outwards to bang the plank cladding of the house. Must have been the wind that kept closing them, or maybe some kids, or, who could say, some mischievous spirits. "That's good," said Rudy, following the beef wife. "Then you and Nan can pick out a wife for me. You have all the girls from this town and the next to choose from."
"I'll pick you a good one for sure, Master Rudigal. Don't you worry about that,"
she said playfully, adding,
"Oh, by the way, those pants are for a boy. They're too small. They'll split and your butt will show."
She came and jabbed at the hip seam with sincere concern.
"Besides that, your shirt is inside out."
The beef wife was right, sure, like Nan was right. But he felt strangely beyond caring. He had to do something useful and immediate. Master Rudigal strode to the apron rack and said, "Just give me an apron to cover my hide. I'm helping out." There were many, many aprons to choose from, all of them the product of a shy old matron, the apron lady, who gave them as gifts at holidays. Most were embroidered with some kind of animal or food-related item. He grabbed one off a peg. "You call this a rooster?" said Master Rudigal, remarking on its cross-stitched animal image and feeling lightheaded. "It's fake. Nothing at all like the real thing." No one laughed with him. A few stared. One helper asked,
"Are you okay, Beresivy?"
The room was spinning. Rudy fought the vertigo by focusing on a large drip pan laden with heavy, steaming beef. He felt compelled to lift it. It was hot. He didn't care. "No, wait," said someone, but he had to do it. He had to deliver it to the table and serve it right away. It was fed on the grass of holy ground, don't you know? It sailed through the air as he tripped. His leather breeches, they ripped. The window shutters slammed. The roast landed into a serving bowl brimming with stewed vegetables. It crashed, and all of it slid and spilled across the board of the table and gushed over the far edge in a cascade like vomit. The dogs were indoors again. They dove for the roast greedily. People jumped up from seats. A toddler shrieked. The old man with the cane fell over, possibly dead. Women in animal aprons bumped into each other, reflexively reaching for brooms or rags or soup scoops or aprons or anything. Nan was missing in all this, finally taking a quick break out back before dinner by the peaceful weeping willow tree. Beresivy Rudigal, Rudy, or whoever he was now, was beneath the table, sitting in stew, taking off a pair of ripped brown breeches, picking up morsels and eating them, staring vacantly. His hands were covered in the soupy mush that dripped from above.
He should have stopped at center place,
Murmured the old man who was sprawled out on the floor, staring sideways, not dead.